All right. Hello, everybody. Let's make sure we are live. You know the drill. Let's give me a 5-5 at the beginning, and that will let us know if you can hear and see us. And then we'll get rolling with the song and get to our two wonderful guests, Carole Maureen Friesen and Kelly Love. I am actually very excited about this. I always learn so much when I talk to these ladies, so this will be super cool. So give me a 5-5 if we're good to go. I don't see us yet, but we know there's been a delay on Rumble as of late. Okay, cool. I see us now. So now I just need a 5-5 if you can hear us. Got a 5-5. That's what I'm talking about. Woo! See how excited I get when I actually know I'm talking to somebody? It's a beautiful thing. All righty, let's get rolling with the song to get people piling in here. This will be a lot of fun. In fact, ladies, I will record this just in case you need it to post it somewhere also. Boom. Housekeeping is behind us. I have the two lovely ladies here. It's so great to have you. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Great. Yeah. Beautiful sunny morning in Costa Rica here. So Kelly's here also. So
Kelly.
yeah.
Now, Kelly, did you create that last name or were you born with that last name?
I gave myself that last name.
Love it. You just took ownership. You go, that's it. I'm going to take it.
Would you like to hear the story?
Absolutely.
Well, I had started my healing journey, and I always thought I was going to be the woman with daddy issues. And I went through this healing experience, and I realized I was able to heal way more than I thought I was able. And in that moment, I decided to change my last name because the last name of my adopted dad and my biological dad carried negative memories. And I'm aware of the power of words casting spells. So I said, what do I want to resonate with? And I said, love.
That's beautiful. That's cool. Speaking of words and casting spells, here's what I've been struggling with. Well, in fact, we just said the words hello, hello, hello. So here's what I've been struggling with. I know the reason inside the English language why a lot of words were created. It's spell casting. And I'm also aware, and this is where I stand generally, is what's the intent you have behind the word, right? So instead of me changing my complete language all the time, I go, okay, what's my intent? My intent's good when I use the word. Therefore, but I still struggle because some words are just so obvious to me, like hell. Oh, you know what I mean? They're just so obvious. But what's your thoughts, ladies, on just the words in the English language in general and what we deal with that?
Well, words, like we say, we're casting spells. That's why we call it spelling. But more so is what is the frequency or the vibration that we're feeling within the body, because we're all loudspeakers. We amplify, but it's what we internalize, right? So yeah, like I never thought of hello until now, until you said it. So I think of it as hell low. So it's low.
Oh, I love that.
Where you say hi, then we're high. So yeah, I mean, it's still what your intent is, right? And it's like Kelly and I have been talking a lot about when we say good morning. Are we mourning? Or then people were, like David Avocado Wolf, I think, came up with it as always grand rising.
Mm-hmm.
And is the sun rising or are we rising? Which one is it, right? And then Kelly was changing grand rotation. If the firmament is what?
Grand path was passing over us.
Yeah. So yeah, it's still, here again, what do we take on as that meaning? And I use the KNOW word. I mean, the worst 4-letter word in the English dictionary is KNOW because the body only hears NO. And it's a vibration. So No, I know.
Mm.
And it's like, why am I even talking to this person? Because they know it all. Instead of, if I say, I understand,
But
then
then
I
somebody, yeah, and then somebody will
stand
say,
under.
but why don't you understand?
Well,
I think
because
this
I
makes it,
related to one
it's
person and
crazy.
I'm not using that word. Yes, it understand, but understand is the body is under, right? Under our head, right? So I say understand still means something. So then if I say, hey, I understand, Lewis, I understand, it's very soft, it's, or I hear you, I see you,
Hmm. Hmm.
I under, yeah, I am aware. It's a different feeling as an action and reaction between the communication between two people. But what about the communication within ourselves? Because now you're communicating with your intuition. So if you say, I know, because it's coming from a mental point of view, it shuts down our body itself because the body's trying to send us messages also. So, oh, I know that. I know that. Well, it says N-O, shut up to our intuition.
Mm.
That first thought that comes through us. So,
That's brilliant because it's interesting because my wife and I both get a little triggered when we hear I know. And it's maybe it could be more subliminal, like you're saying, just due to the fact it's the word no. That's and it's see, it's interesting. The cabal, I always say, and I upset people, but it's true, they're genius. They're absolutely epically intelligent. Now, I don't think they can resonate like we do, and they don't have the powers that the let's say the non-cabal, the good people have. I don't believe they have that. But when it comes to just a flat intelligence, it's crazy what they've created. Because now that I'm hearing that, Carole, I believe that was completely intentional.
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And I have a theory. Tell me what you think about this. So we know there was the Tower of Babel,
We
and
understand.
yes, thank you. We've heard.
Yeah.
There's the Tower of Babel, and God cast out all the people that were trying to really take a shortcut to heaven, and then gave them all a different language so they couldn't get together and try to take that shortcut to heaven. Just going with that story, it's interesting. English to me is almost Babel coming back together, because there's so many languages that it took in order to create the English language, much more than any other language that's out there. So I'm theorizing that it's almost like Babel coming back together. I don't know if there's any meat on the bone there.
I feel like understanding a little bit of Romance languages compared to English, what I notice the difference as far as feeling goes is the Romance languages actually speak from a place of feeling,
Yeah.
and action, and like present moment. For example, when we say hi, we say buenos dias. That's good day. It is a good day. It's a declaration of a good day. Or like hello or goodbye, pura vida. It's pure life. Declaring over and over, pure life, pure life. So in some ways, I feel like maybe this is the theory, the English language was created to confuse us and disempower us. Like you think of the word receive. What's a sieve? The sieve lets stuff go through. We're talking about receiving stuff, and it's like, oh, I'm just going to let it go through. It's just going to keep going through.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah, because I've been teaching psychosomatic therapy for 23 years, and it's all about the body and feelings and action and reaction to our life experiences. And yeah, we do a lot of spiritual stuff also, but it always comes back to the body, to the body. The most precious thing you've got is your body. And you've got two metals in our body too, like the two circuits would be the silver and the gold circuit being the Christ consciousness, the light source, and then the life force is the silver cord. And when someone passes on, they release the silver cord in that last breath. So they're releasing the life force. but all through our life, it's how we're creating our own physical body between our thoughts and our feelings. That's energy and motion between thoughts and feelings. And our thoughts are even more important than what we're speaking, right? It's how we're thinking, because that's going on inside. But when I hear someone speak and how they speak, that's already, they're reflecting how they communicate within themselves, even between the left and right brain functions, between the masculine and the feminine energy, being between the left brain function, which is analytical or our strength almost, and right brain function is our creative feminine side. And that's more about compassion and also so many people talk about strength and weaknesses. We consider it strength and sensitivity. The feminine is sensitive and the masculine side is strengths. We have both. And through our work, we just learn how to drive this vehicle. What bone structure did we come in with? Because either you're a Mack truck or a Ferrari. Are you a 4x4? Don't take your Ferrari 4x4. Mm-hmm. Like Kelly is more like, more like a Mack truck. I've got square jaws. She's super sensitive. She's more like an inverted triangle. So she's got a lot of sensitivity. So Kelly would be learning sensitive or strength through her sensitivity, where I learned sensitivity through my strength, because we're built differently. We're built for two different purposes. And that's what our work is all about, is looking at the blueprint of the soul. Why did the soul come in with this bone structure, to a certain DNA, to the certain environment, and the belief systems we pick up and characteristics we pick up from our DNA, our coding, like from our parents. So our work is very, very grounding, and it's about getting people into their bodies and looking at themselves and understanding themselves at the deepest level.
So you're saying that even when we're born, we're almost built a certain way. So is when somebody is going through your teachings, are the teachings showing them how to make the most of the way they're already built, or how to be balanced due to the fact you are built a certain way?
Well, our show that we have going, both. Our show that we have going on right now is because we're in the Great Awakening. We call it the Great Alignment. How are you going to align your spinal column and your energy centers and create a clear channel through us for the life force and the light source to come in balance, and then whatever we put out from the heart energy center, which would be, we call love. So love is a feeling. It's not, you can't love another person. You can love your reaction to the person, but you can't love them. So we just look at habits, how people stand, how they walk, how they breathe, and how they can, what issues are in the tissues. We can tell everything, even what your mother was thinking while she was carrying you in the womb, by how the tissue forms, because we pick up a lot of our parents' issues, also what's running in the DNA, and that could, as soon as we change that within ourselves, we can go 7 generations back and 8 generations forward in the healing of it. So I want Kelly to speak, because she's in her teacher's training right now. I've been doing it for 23 years. Kelly has been with me 4 years now, almost 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Carole. I like to consider body language like a two-way biofeedback system. So you ask the question, like, are we assessing where we at? Are we seeing what we're made for? Are we able to change it? And it's both. Because the body language is the manifestation of what you've gone through. And when we understand how the energy moves in alignment, that's how we move our body into alignment. So for example, you see somebody walk around with their head hanging low and their shoulders hunched over, automatically you understand that they are depressed. Maybe they're lacking confidence. Maybe they had a bad day, right? That body language has an energy behind it that made it. Well, if we look at the energy and say, oh, wow, there's some sadness there. What does that human need to move through that sadness? That's how we use the body language. And then we are able to lift ourselves up. So we're no longer depressed, but we find the way to lift our spirit up. And that we change our energy.
It's interesting you'd say that, because I was doing some work back in the 80s, and there was a study, I believe it may have been NYU or some university out there, and they wanted to see if there was a behavioral difference between some people that got mugged and attacked and some people that didn't. So what they did is they perched themselves in a high rise. They weren't in a high rise, they may be up a few floors, 4 or 5 floors, on a corner that there was a lot of muggings. And they noticed that the people that walked with confidence in general were left alone, where the people that had lack of confidence and their shoulders were down and their heads were down, those were the victims. So they were a victim before they were a victim, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I've taught a lot with workshop leaders and presenters how to take the stage with power. I mean, you've got to come on that with full confidence, and it's in our own body. If I even feel, if someone's not listening to me or something, and they're in the audience or something, a good example for myself would be, all of a sudden I might put my thumb in, which is the will digit, and an adult does this and a child does that. When they're feeling insecure, immediately I'll take my thumb out, because I can feel it within myself if I'm feeling insecure. So you can change that. That's maybe body language, as a lot of people think body language is. But what Kelly is saying too, if someone is like this for a long period of time, the bone structure changes, and it indents in the chest. And the direct opposite, we would say, it's like a big bodybuilder, they've got "don't F with me," and they've built the muscle, but there's a hurt little boy in there, because what the attitude behind that is, they might have been bullied as a child, and nobody's ever going to hurt me again. So they will build the tissue for that. So that's what we mean by body language is sacred. It's what the energy, the soul, how the soul and personality are working together. And maybe they've come for that experience, but there's stuff that they're still hanging on to that they can't let go. So we all walk around with a lot of emotional baggage, but we look at it where in the tissue it started, at what age. Like if someone's got big, thick calves like this, you can tell they've been digging their heels in right from a very young age. And in 5 minutes, we can read a whole body and tell you exactly what's happened in your life. The energy behind it, not necessarily the story. They have the story, but that's why it's so true, is that when we read someone, we're only looking at the tissue and how it's formed on the body. If someone's completely caved in, they haven't felt love from a really young age, maybe very small breasts. And someone with huge breasts, they're very mothering and smothering. They want to breastfeed the world, because that's how the energy is flowing in their body, and the tissue forms on the body that way. So we all come in just with a little baby. It's all just bones. And yes, we've picked up genes, like the energy of our parents from the gene pool. But how have they grown up? And when did they start going into defiance, and they wanted to fight the system, or a lot of things that happen throughout their most imprints are up to, well, especially 7 years old. The younger years are very much imprinted into a child. And we can tell if someone's even been sexually abused, and how to move that energy. A lot of tissue between the thighs, very heavy set. You can tell there's a lot of protection on that person. And it's protecting that innocence, that inner child. And that's why we go back and we look at how, I mean, a tree grows from the ground up, right? Otherwise, a little sapling, a child. But where did it start? Maybe they have thin calves, but they have really thick thighs. Then you can see the defiance came in as a teenager. I don't want to do it. And they lock their knees, cock their hips. And that's how it's like putting a kink in the garden hose, and it pushes the energy down. So how can we, first of all, we have to connect the subconscious mind with the conscious mind. A person doesn't even realize they're doing it until a good psychosomatic therapist, which is the psyche, the consciousness of the soul in the physical body. And so we can give them the adjustments, what they need to change, but we need to look at when it started and what's the story behind it. And then the body can let go of the muscle, because muscles are messengers. So when something happens in our life, the muscle locks up and it's going to hold on to that story because they've stored it in that part of the body. And when the body says, oh, finally, she's listening, or, you know, because we can point it out, and then the muscle relaxes and now the energy can flow through there. And I mean, it's so in depth. We do 14 days straight on taking a person through a process of understanding themselves at the deepest level. And that's where the transformation comes in. But it takes a person to call them out. It's really, really deep. Kelly was, I picked her as a protege because she's fought me the most. So she used a lot of F words at me in the class because I called her out on everything, but it was true. I mean, I'm just pointing things out. Right, Kelly? I'll give you, I shouldn't do all the talking, but.
Oh, you're doing great. Yeah. Carole, I mean, the work is confronting, right? It's looking in a mirror and seeing your reflection. And Jesus talked about this too. Like, don't be like the man who looks in the mirror, forgets what he sees, and then keeps doing what he's doing, right? So psychosomatic therapy is about looking in the.
I think she froze.
There she is.
Oh, did I cut off?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, what did you hear?
Psychosomatic therapy.
Looking in the mirror,
That's
mirror,
right.
confronting.
Oh, so psychosomatic therapy is about looking in the mirror, taking the deepest look in the mirror and seeing the reflection from your soul. And when I first got into this work, it was the first time I felt validated for all the hardships that I'd lived through, the traumas that I had experienced. As children, we develop coping mechanisms. This is our body's way of surviving. It's a loving response. It's the most loving thing our body is able to do when we aren't feeling protected or safe. And so I had all these coping mechanisms and had never really acknowledged how atrocious my life was. And then when I did my full body reading, I wept because it was validating. It was like, yes, this was hard. This was sad. And now I get a clear picture of what I get to heal, right? I can see, oh, there's something here. There's something here. This is how we heal ourselves. And I would love to touch on that story you brought up about observing people get mugged in a street corner. So I read this book called The Wisdom of Psychopaths many years ago, and it goes into all the details of what goes on and like the chemical makeup of a psychopathic brain, why they function the way they do. And a lot of it is because it's lights out in the amygdala. So they're not tapped into the feeling. And so there's like a spectrum of psychopathology where you can have your brain surgeons and mathematicians, and you can have your Jeffrey Dahmers, right? The ones that just completely check out. And what's fascinating about psychopathology is in situations that would stress normal people out, their heart rate goes down, their breathing rate goes down, they go into hyper focus mode. And subconsciously, these humans are naturally attracted to those with the injured postures. They can smell the broken ones, the ones that have something out of alignment, right? And they subconsciously go for them. And I picked up on this in my own travels, where I would be scared. I remember landing in Istanbul, Turkey, and thinking, why did I sign up for 2 months here? It was so intimidating. And the only thing I knew how to do was keep my head up and walk like I knew what the F I was doing. Like super confident, and less people mess with me. But anytime I felt insecure, that's when the predators came around. And so it brings up another point, which I would love to dive deeper into, is why it's so important to get an honest assessment of what shaped us to be who we are, because we're sending out that frequency into the world. And we are attracting the same situations over and over because our body says we didn't fix it yet. So here's another opportunity. And until we can see that, we're going to keep self-traumatizing ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah, it's also to add to that is that yeah, people can see that what's going on, but it's us connecting with ourselves, because we're all like an antenna. And because a lot of the work that's going on right now, whether it's deprogramming MK Ultra, a lot of people are still trying to do it from here. It's all in the body. And someone that's holding on to a lot of tissue, they think they've resolved the issues, but they haven't. Now, a person can either go in flight, where they leave the body, then there's very little tissue, but there's nobody home, or they're in fight, and they're putting on tissue, and it depends on the quality of the tissue. We have yang tissue, which is really hard, solid, and maybe very large, or yin will be the tension is underneath, but it's more like blubber over top, and because they're very sensitive. So when you understand all these things, you can start to let those things go and start to move forward. And because with all there's nothing better than to do a review of your life, find the diamonds in the dog shit, which is what we go through, is looking at our whole life and our timelines of our life. What happened and how did we react to it? Then you can move forward. And we're all walking around like an antenna. We can see when someone's got all that tissue, what those issues are. And yeah, it's like Kelly was saying, I mean, we can also, our posture is so important. Are we confident? And people can come at us. It's like a mama bear. Someone won't attack someone that's confident. They're going to go for the underdog for sure, right? But it's also in the tissue. You can see it. So yeah, there was something else in there, but I lost the thought. But it's still like at a soul level. What is the soul coming here to experience? And when we look at our whole life and find all the beautiful diamonds that have happened in our life, the beautiful things, whether it's people we've met, we can always find a diamond, so we can let go of the lesson, and we kind of inventory our life, a life review now, and your body, what's happened in the body, who are you, through your bone structure of your face. Green eyes mean something, blue eyes mean something, and we teach a face reading class online, which we can do. It's harder, to, of course, to do that if we're looking at the body itself, but the face for sure we can do online. And people start to make a book of who you are. I mean, I have a workbook. It's called The Greatest Life Ever Lived, and you start looking at what's happened in your life. What beautiful things you liked about your parents. What didn't you like? Who have you slept with? Because it's all corded in. We need to cut those cords and write them down. And then we burn a lot of things that we don't want someone else. But by the time, let's say my online class, by the time you're finished, 16 hours online, you have a whole outline of your life experiences and like your autobiography of your life. Where have you all traveled to? Who's inventoried their life? And then you can move forward and see all the beautiful qualities. And there's many divination things that we use. We use soul and personality rays. Who are you? How sacred geometry, how light comes into the world. And also a lot of people will do their human design, which is very left brain function. I do galactic signature blueprint, which is Mayan cosmology. It gives you a whole nother level as you move forward, and we're all making up a story. You might as well make up a good one. Take on your archetypes and start living it, which we're doing. We're taking on archetypes as warriors, patriots. We're living this. We're living it, and we're doing it. And it's so important that we get into alignment with what resonates with you. Some people resonate with certain healing techniques, and some really resonate with what we do. But ours is very, very, very real. And you got to do the work yourself. No machine is going to do it.
Yep.
Or no, people want to take all these vitamins, minerals, great things. They're all good. It's high octave fuel, but they'll put it in a rundown vehicle. They won't straighten out their feet right off the bat.
That makes total sense. Right.
And get a tire alignment. This is a vehicle. This is the vehicle of your soul. And so once you align things like a vehicle, you line everything up, take out all the dents and then you put in high octave fuel. Look how much more you become. Both are good, but it's you still have to straighten the vehicle.
And it takes courage to do that also, because you're literally looking in the mirror and go, what the hell's my issues, right? So that being said, I want to lead by example. If you have a minute, feel free to read my face and shoulders, whatever, and no matter what it is, I have no problem with you publicly saying what your thoughts are. Let me cough real quick.
Yeah. You're imprinting water with that bottle. That's great.
Drinking water.
Yeah.
In fact, there's your name, Kelly, right there.
Yeah.
There it is. I love it.
All right. Here, should I sit up?
I'm going to just start with because what we do is we read overall face shape, which is the blueprint, your prominent feature, that's what's calling out. And then we go through hairline, quality of hair, forehead, what type of forehead you have, eyebrows, eyes, nose, mouth, and then the jaw and chin. So it's telling, cheekbones, ears, they all mean something. And so I'm going to let Kelly read you, but what I see in you right off the bat, Louis, is you're much higher than you are wide. So you have very high ideals. You aspire to higher things in life, and you're a humanitarian. That means you stick up for the underdog. But you're also very sensitive in the way you interact with other people, but that's in the chin. So that's right off the bat. That's the headlines of your newspaper. That tells me. Then we go in and look at the features. That would be the story itself. Give us quite a bit more detail. So Kelly, you go ahead. I mean, obviously.
You want me to get closer? How's that?
Yeah, that does help.
Yeah.
For prominent feature, I was either going to say your eyes or your forehead, because I mean, your forehead, it's a good size. So you're highly intelligent. It just like calls out like, woo, I'm really smart. I'm open-minded, broad-minded. And also your eyes, I feel like they're very kind. Like you are the type of human that really listens to people. It's like, oh, tell me more.
Every hard luck story.
You have a big heart. So along with those high ideals and the energy to support that, you've got an open heart that really listens to people.
A lot of protection, though.
All right. So now give me the hard stuff. What do I need to work? What do I need to work on? I have no fear. Let everybody know here. No problem whatsoever. In fact, the scary part is when you were talking about a psychopath, I'm like, uh-oh, I have some of those qualities. It's not like that. Is that good or is that bad?
It just is, right? When you understand your constitution, you understand how to work with that energy.
Because in an
So,
emergency situation, my heart drops. I breathe really well, and I'm always the go-to guy. And I'm like, I thought that was a good thing, you know, and it could be, but it's interesting that that's a quality that psychopaths have.
well, that would be like on the scale of a brain surgeon who can lower everything to super calm and like have laser focus, right? It doesn't mean they're out of touch with reality. It's
Got it.
just spectrum like autism or lots of other things. So
I'm pretty close to Asperger's. I would have to admit that in some of my behavior, you know, it is what it is.
That means you're brilliant. Yeah.
So I would say, if you're desiring to see where you could improve or grow or expand,
Yes.
I would say it's in your expression. And which might seem strange saying that because you have a big show and you speak a lot. However, you have small lips, like thin lips, and your eyes, like, okay, look at my eyes. You see this part right here, this lower lid? See how much of it you can see? This means I really put my thoughts and my emotions out there. My big lips confirm it. I've got big lips. I've got a lot to share with the world. Whereas you are holding in the emotion, weighing you down. The thoughts are weighing you down. And it's almost like, I'm just going to grit and bear it and get it done. You know?
Yeah, it's hard to speak from the heart. And this has started from a young age. It's not necessarily now. So we form over time, right? But when you understand that, and the lidding of the eyes, it's because you tend to mull things over and over and over again in the memory lobe. That's why we wax people, is because when we take this out, it actually gives you an eye lift. And I remember in Vegas, one lady came flying up to me the next day. She says, I looked in the mirror this morning. It's like I've had a whole facelift. But because we're not thinking, our thoughts aren't as heavy because you're not mulling them over, then we create self-doubt. So when you let that go, because that's right in what we're feeling and what we're thinking, that's the temple area. When we wax that out, it gives you more of an expression how you face the world.
It also opens up your peripheral so you can actually take in more information instead of being clouded by your parents' thoughts or tradition or whatever.
And Carole, I remember when I saw you in Vegas, you're like, I don't have much there already. What does that mean where that's already gone?
Well, it's not much, but there's enough to make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would open things up more. And tell that little boy inside he's got lots of bright ideas instead of, oh, I should think about this. Bright idea. Lift your eyebrows. Just do it now. Say bright idea. There. Bright idea. Yeah. Now what that does is lifts the ideas up from the sacral where creativity is born in the womb. And men have the same energy as ideas come from sacral chakra. And when you lift that up, now you tell your brain, now go and figure it out. And it's the first idea that comes to mind, right? You get lots of them, but instead of, oh, I got to think about this, just say, wow, let's do it. And then the little kid comes out and says, oh, we could do this. And
so it's interesting you'd say that is because I've actually intentionally been working on that the last few years, and I've gone with that first thought that's in my head, and it's really gone really, really well. Will the body change the way my mind has changed? Because that you nailed exactly the way I was, say, 4 years ago, and now I go with that first instinct. I call it that God spark. You know, will the body end up changing over time, or is the body just going to be kind of locked into where it has been?
Well, that energy will flow a lot more within yourself. You still have to consciously, like we consciously walk, we consciously stand. Most people leave things on automatic pilot. So the energy can start. Definitely, you'll get more bright ideas. Okay. And you're telling the brain to go figure it out, because that's our analytical and creative side, right? But the inner tutor, which is the intuition, and I understand a lot because I watch all the shows, right?
Mhm.
Especially you. You talk a lot about instinct, but there's three types of telepathy. There's mental telepathy, how we connect the mental consciousness. There's instinctual telepathy, how we communicate would be like a mama bear that can feel there's something wrong with her cub a mile away. And then there's instinctual telepathy, which is, intuitive telepathy, which we're all learning to eventually we're all gathering, we're coming together, souls that are meant to come together from a higher consciousness or past life, if you want to call it. We call it a monad. And they come together and we can communicate intuitively, because even right now, it seems like something's happening. We are all talking about the same thing instinctually. It just seems like it seems to happen. We're already developing intuitive telepathy. But it's even more important to learn to communicate physically, and that's where psychosomatics come in, is if you can read, we're all reading each other at a subconscious level. It's about starting to read at a conscious level of the next person and understanding them instead of saying, that guy's an asshole. No, he's a hurt little boy or a hurt little girl inside there. We understand each other, and then we assist each other in of working through the energies that we each came here to learn. Instead of blocking it, we say, hey, you just said, I'll show the world myself. And that's already opening up to maybe changing the things, but it's about you seeing your gifts. And you have this huge mental intelligence, right? There's a huge filing cabinet up there. But your gifts, what I see also is your inner ear is much stronger than your outer ear. That means you are already clara audio. So you have a clear way of hearing. You hear things, you hear what people don't say. But it's about listening to yourself first and foremost. Because that's like this. I better listen, right? That's what that inner cup is saying. And also you have a very bulb almost at the end of your nose. So that tells me you're very loyal and you're very honest by nature. So you have those qualities. So it's about you understanding you and say, oh, well, that is a gift. That does resonate. So what color are your eyes? I forget, but it's hard to see. Yeah. What color are blue though? Warm, cold?
Very beautiful blue.
Very beautiful.
I don't know the color, different colors here. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of an ocean blue, I would say,
Yeah.
if that's a color.
Well, yeah, there's many ranges of blue eyes. Blue eyes is a compassionate way of thinking, where brown eyes is a compassionate way of feeling, the two different ones. So it's more earthy, of passion, like a Latin lover, right? They've got a lot of passion, but the warmer the brown would be like Jersey, brown Jersey cow eyes, brown eyes is a compassionate way of feeling. But the way of thinking, so it depends on the range of blue. We've got sapphire blue to Caribbean blue, green, and then all the way to cold and cool and calculating blue eyes. So it's in that range, but you have a compassionate way of thinking. And so it's like a consciousness of compassion. So yeah, it's so many beautiful things we can see, and people's eyes can change. If you're warming in your heart, it might be more green coming through because it's more Caribbean blue, right? So it's a warmer ocean.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
This is just absolutely fascinating. So people can go to your websites obviously, and your Telegram channel. Yeah. If they're working with you via the phone or the web or whatever way you do that, tell us what the expectations are versus if they actually go to Costa Rica.
Well, we both have an online program. I've run mine for 7-8 years now. And it's what's beautiful about our work is that it never changes. It's different than the new information or a new technique. It's all about the body. And so yeah, we can do a little bit online. Let's say like face reading. We do live face readings. 7 hours. A person learns to read a face, and I've had people from 11 years old all the way up to 84 years old. And the children are the best because they don't have any self-doubt. They just say, "Oh, it's a square," because they're used to putting that round and square at 1 year old. They're already doing the puzzles, right? And it's all sacred geometry. Structure equals performance. What are you built for, right? And so mine is more about life review, taking a person all the way through. And Kelly, what's yours about? Yours is rewilding and about self-love. So you take them through a live program.
Yeah, I have a few different offerings. The one I'm really excited about right now is called Soul Much Love, SOUL. And I use a lot of psychosomatic therapy. So I teach the basics of body language from the feet to the head. So what the positions are and what the shapes mean of the different parts of the body. And I also teach about the chakra system, how the energy moves through the body and how our emotions and the experiences we've lived through shape those different body parts and also shape how our energy flows. And then I use this information to teach people how to heal themselves. And this whole program was birthed out of me learning how to heal myself from abusive parents, religious brainwashing. I mean, a lot, right? And that's the beauty of psychosomatic therapy, is being able to see it all and get the roadmap of how to unwind. So I give people a lot of tools on how to unwind. It's a 10-week program. There's about 47 videos online. I teach you how to work out differently. So if your muscles have been dissociated or overcompensating, I teach you how to balance that out. So yeah, and then we do monthly face reading trainings.
Very cool. Now, are you on the same website, or do you have a different website from Carole?
I have a different website. It's kellyloverewilding.com.
Yeah, Kelly does a lot of posts on our Telegram channel, the Lightworkers Institute. She does little TikToks and all about the body and cognitive. I can't even say it.
Cognitive dissonance and body language stuff. I would love to say something about the face changing.
Yes, let's talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, so you asked, is it possible for the face to shift? And absolutely. And one of the most wonderful things about learning how to read a face is you can track how your body is responding to you. So one of the things that happened to me, I had noticed the whole left side of my face was dissociated. Like everything was just kind of like hanging there like this. And I realized, I mean, that was when I was at my lowest of my lowest on the healing journey, where and my body was telling me the feminine feels so scared. She's completely dissociating from life. It is time, Kelly, to make her feel safe and do that deep healing work. And I remember in that moment, I committed to my soul. I said, okay, I'm ready to do it. I can't remember it. I don't want to see it, but I will heal it. If you show me how to heal, I will heal. And as you can see, my face is not dissociated anymore. My feminine feels great. And this is one of the ways that we're able to track how our soul is responding to us responding.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. And again, it just proves that we have everything inside of us to be the best we can be. We don't need this whole pharmaceutical poisons that where they're coming after us with, or the poisonous foods and everything. If we can just clean that stuff up, it seems like the teachings that Carole and Kelly do really just will spark us that much quicker, if I could use that as a term.
Well, it's our emotional baggage, really, that really weighs heavy on us, and we carry that load. And when you understand it, you can let it go. And so, yeah, we also do a once a week show on Grassroots Warrior Network. The first show we did, episode we did, was Kelly. You can say them. You give you a chance.
Trauma in the womb, and this was actually a really special episode for me. Once I got involved in psychosomatic therapy, I got curious about why my daughter had the physical ailments that she did when she was born. And so I did a body-mind analysis on her. And in that, I realized how much my emotions and my experiences that I was living through affected her. I felt very scared. I was pregnant out of wedlock. I was in the church. So there was a lot of judgment going on. I had no idea how I was going to afford everything, right? I cried every day for the first 3 months. And when her body was born, it was the evidence of my emotions on her body. And so we talk about how it's so important as moms to really do that inner work and create the space in our wombs for our children to grow in love. And if things have happened, to take control, take our power back, and begin to reprogram ourselves. We're not victims. And this is why I love this work, because you nailed it, Lewis. This is the roadmap. This is the way home. And in a world that has been ravaged by darkness and countless children ravaged by predators, we absolutely need the roadmap back home. And this is it.
And our second one was on psychosomatic perception.
Psychosomatic perspective on transgenderism. Yeah. And this is beautiful too, because it takes the politics and the religion out. It goes straight to structure equals performance. What is the body doing naturally on its own? How is the energy flowing? Why is it supposed to be flowing like that? And so we get into the root, the body, and we allow the body to speak about its truth around transgenderism.
Oh, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, and episode 3 is actually on the face, and we do have a lot of before and after pictures. What's it called, Kelly? She names them all. So
the face splits.
Yeah.
Oh, who are you?
The ancient secrets of face reading or something.
Yeah, uncovering the ancient secrets, remembering the ancient
discovering. Yeah.
Discover.
And we can find this on Grassroots Warrior. Is that where?
Yeah. We do Mondays at 11. So it's pre-recorded. We do it on the Friday and we upload it. And we also are on a marathon this Saturday with Grassroots Warrior. There's 21, I think, different speakers. So
oh wow,
yeah, it's Well, we've done so many marathons with you, Lewis, too, and I've done, 3. This is the 4th Truth Tour. I'm saying 89th Truth Tour, but I've done 4. Not just cities, but 4 times I've come to the States, and I'm here of service. That's I've been doing this work for 23 years, so I'm here to serve others and bring them into alignment, because the more we feel that within ourselves, it's so important to even approaching a school board meeting is to stand strong and find that confidence within, and they'll feel that, because we're antennas. Like we talked earlier, if you come in like this to the board meeting, they'll attack you.
Yep.
But if you come in this way and you are in your own truth, and it's about being true to yourself, but it's also looking in the mirror and seeing who we are, and really looking at our own issues, and then we can move forward. So and to do 14 days, we only take 8 people at a time, because the work is so deep and it's very, very intense. But a person can learn that people do it for their own self-development. But also, we are a registered college in Australia, Psychosomatic Therapy College. So a person can go through it as a practitioner also and add it to their coaching or massage therapist. We have realtors coming in. It just depends what you're looking for, but self-development. And I teach practitioner, master practitioner, and a diploma in teaching psychosomatic therapy. So yeah, it's definitely, it's more people, a lot of people say, oh, I just came, I want to learn how to read people. And then they get here and say, oh God, it's all about me.
Exactly.
So yeah, so it's beautiful.
Take the plank out of your own eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is fascinating. Thank you. I have to have you both on again. Excuse me. I think we
Tell
just,
you why you're coughing.
yeah, exactly.
Psychosomatically.
I think we just barely touched on this. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Carol, I look forward to seeing you soon in San Diego. Kelly, wonderful having you on. We'll talk soon. And everybody in the audience, all the links are below in the description now. So feel free to check them out, and make sure you check out on Saturday is on
Rumble.
Rumble. And what was the channel called again?
Grassroots Warrior Network.
Grassroots Warrior Network. There'll be a marathon, and I assume Kelly and Carol will both be on there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. I really appreciate you, both of you. Thank you for your hard work too.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye. Hold on. It'll take a minute to get out here. Rumble's a little wonky.
Yeah.
So I have to watch it for a second. In fact, that'll probably be on Rumble.